I want you to listen closely because what I'm about to share is not just a story. It's not just words. It's a journey, my journey. There was a time in my life when I thought I had everything figured out. Success, opportunities, the so-called freedom to live however I wanted. But deep inside, I was empty. I was searching for something real, something that could not be bought, something that could not be taken away by people or circumstance. I looked around at the world and I saw people chasing money, chasing fame, chasing relationships. And I asked myself, is this it? Is this all that life is supposed to be? Just chasing shadows, just running after temporary pleasures. And then I started studying. I started asking questions. I wanted to know who created me. Why am I here? What is my purpose? That's when Islam entered my life. I didn't accept Islam overnight. No, I wrestled with it. I resisted it because deep down I knew if I said yes, everything would change, and change is uncomfortable. But the truth has a way of breaking through your walls. I began to read the Qur'an, and let me tell you something. It wasn't like any book I had ever read in my life. It didn't just speak to my mind. It spoke to my soul. It wasn't the voice of a man. It was the voice of God. It was direct, clear, powerful, and it answered the questions I had been carrying inside me for years. I realized Islam was not just a religion. It was a way of life. It gave me discipline. It gave me peace. It gave me clarity. It gave me a connection with the Creator that I never knew was possible. Why did I become a Muslim? Because I was tired of living blind. I wanted a light. I was tired of chasing what could never satisfy me. I wanted truth. I wanted purpose. I wanted God. And today I can stand before you and say, I found it. I found peace in Islam. I found strength in Islam. I found my real identity in Islam. So if you're searching, if you're hurting, if you're looking for answers, don't run from the truth. Don't drown in distractions. Open your heart, seek sincerely, because when you do, you'll find what I found. And that's why I became a Muslim. There was a time in my life when everything on the outside looked good to the world. I had what people chase their entire lives: opportunities, freedom, choices, the ability to do whatever I wanted. People would look at me and think, he's got it all. But what they didn't know was the emptiness I carried inside. You see, emptiness is something no amount of money can hide. No material thing can erase it. You can laugh, you can smile, you can post pictures online to make your life look perfect. But when you're alone at night, when you put your head on a pillow, that's when the truth comes knocking. That's when the questions you've been running from rise to the surface. And I had those questions. Why am I here? What's the point of all of this? Why do I feel so hollow when I have what others dream about? I tried to silence that emptiness the same way most people do. I drown myself in distractions, entertainment, friends, achievements, chasing the next big thing. I thought maybe success would fill the void. Maybe relationships would, maybe freedom would. But every single time the satisfaction faded. It was like pouring water into a cup with a hole at the bottom. No matter how much I poured, it never stayed full. And let me tell you something, that emptiness isn't a curse. It's a signal. It's a sign that your soul is starving. Your body can be alive, but your soul can be dying. And that's where I was alive, but not really living. Surrounded by people, but feeling completely alone. Smiling on the outside, but crying inside. The truth is, the world is full of people walking around just like that. They're running in circles, chasing shadows, thinking the next paycheck, the next relationship, the next milestone will finally give them peace. But peace doesn't live there. Peace isn't found in what's temporary. Peace is only found in what's eternal. That emptiness was my wake-up call. It was life telling me, you can keep chasing the world, but you'll never find yourself in it. You'll never find God in it. And without God, you'll never find peace. And when I finally admitted that truth to myself, when I stopped pretending that I was fine, that's when my journey really began. Because you can't find light until you admit you're in the dark. You can't find truth until you admit you've been living a lie. And you can't find peace until you admit you've been restless all along. So if you're listening to me right now and you feel that same emptiness, don't ignore it. Don't bury it under distractions. Don't try to silence it with fake happiness. That emptiness is your invitation to search. It's your soul telling you it's time. Time to go deep. Time to look beyond the surface. Time to ask the questions you've been avoiding. That's where I was. Lost in the noise of the world, but starving for meaning. And it was that hunger, that emptiness that pushed me toward the truth, toward something bigger than myself, toward Islam. Because before you can find peace, you have to first realize you don't have it. The emptiness inside me wasn't random. It was the beginning of a bigger journey. Because emptiness always asks questions. And those questions are powerful. They don't let you rest. They don't let you stay comfortable. They whisper to you in the quiet moments of your life. Who are you? Why are you here? Where are you going? I remember sitting alone, away from all the noise, and those questions came crashing in. What's the purpose of my existence? Am I really just here to be born, work, eat, sleep, and die? Is life just about chasing temporary highs until the day it's all over? Deep down, I knew there had to be more. Look around, the world isn't random. The sunrise, the stars, the oceans, the design of our very bodies, everything screams a purpose. And yet here I was living without one. I thought about success. People say just work hard, make money, build your career, and you'll be fulfilled. But let's be real. How many successful people do we see miserable? How many celebrities overdose, break down, or confess that they're not happy despite having everything? If success was the answer, why do so many people at the top feel so empty? Then I thought about relationships. People say love is the purpose. If you just find the right person, everything will make sense. But I had seen people fall in and out of love, break each other's hearts, destroy their families. If love alone was the answer, why is heartbreak so common? Why is loneliness still everywhere? I even thought about freedom. People say, do whatever you want. Don't let anyone tell you how to live. Just be free. But when I lived like that, when I chased my desires without limits, it didn't give me peace. It gave me chaos. It gave me guilt. It gave me confusion. Because freedom without guidance is just another prison. So I kept asking, why am I here? Who put me here? What happens after I die? And here's the truth. When you start asking real questions, the world can't answer them. Money won't answer them. Friends won't answer them. Even science can't answer them fully. Because these aren't just physical questions, they're spiritual ones. And every time I dug deeper, the same thought hit me. If there's a creation, there has to be a creator. If there's design, there has to be a designer. If my life has breath, it must also have meaning. That's when I realized I wasn't just searching for answers, I was searching for God, and God was waiting for me to ask. See, those deep questions aren't a curse, they're a blessing. They're a door to truth, a door to clarity, a door to the path that leads you home. Most people ignore those questions because they're afraid of the answers. They bury them under distraction. But if you're brave enough to face them, those questions will change your life. For me, they did. They stripped away the illusions. They broke down the lies I had been living. They forced me to admit, I don't know my purpose. I don't know my creator. And if I don't figure this out, then everything I do will be meaningless. And it was in that moment of honesty, in that moment of searching, that I became ready to listen, ready to learn, ready to receive the truth that would change everything. Those deep questions weren't just thoughts in my head. They were the starting point of my path to Islam. Because once you start asking the right questions, you're already halfway to the right answers. When the questions in my heart became too loud to ignore, I knew I needed answers, real answers, not opinions, not theories, not temporary fixes. I needed truth. I needed something that could stand unshaken no matter how hard life hit me. That's when I turned to the Qur'an. At first, I didn't even know what to expect. I had read different books before, philosophy, psychology, even religious texts, but they all sounded like the voices of men. Good advice, interesting thoughts, but nothing that pierced straight into my soul. But the Quran was different. From the very first time I opened it, I felt something unique. It wasn't like reading, it was like being spoken to. Every verse, every line felt alive. It wasn't distant. It was personal. It was like the Creator himself was addressing me directly, cutting through the noise of the world, cutting through my excuses and speaking straight into my heart. The words weren't just ink on a page, they were light that exposed the darkness I had been living in, light that revealed the illusions I had been chasing, light that answered the very questions I thought had no answers. The Quran told me that I was created for a purpose. It told me life wasn't random and death wasn't the end. It told me that this world is a test and the real life begins after this one. It reminded me that everything I had been chasing, money, fame, pleasures, were nothing but temporary distractions. And it pointed me back to what really matters, my relationship with God. One verse struck me so hard I had to close the book and just sit there in silence. Allah says in the Quran, "Indeed, in the remembrance of Allah, the hearts find peace." And I thought to myself, that's it. That's what I've been missing all along. Peace. I realized I wasn't broken. I wasn't unlucky. I wasn't cursed. I was simply disconnected from the one who created me, disconnected from the source of peace itself. The Quran wasn't just giving me answers. It was giving me direction. It was telling me how to live, how to think, how to treat people, how to overcome my struggles, how to prepare for the next life. It wasn't just a book of theory. It was a manual for life. And the more I read, the more I realize something powerful. This couldn't have been written by a man 1,400 years ago in the middle of the desert, without technology, without access to modern science. How could anyone write something so timeless, so precise, so universally relevant? No, this wasn't the word of man. This was the word of God. Qur'an became my turning point. It shifted my perspective. It broke my pride. It humbled me. It showed me that I had been searching everywhere for peace, except the one place it was always available, in submission to the Creator. And that's when everything started to click. The emptiness I had felt all those years, it wasn't a punishment, it was preparation. It was God pulling me closer, making me search, making me hungry until I was ready to receive His words. That book changed me, not just the way I think, but the way I live. It gave me strength in moments of weakness. It gave me hope in moments of despair. It gave me clarity when the world felt confusing. And it gave me peace when I thought peace didn't exist. That's why I say the Qur'an wasn't just a book I read. It was a voice I heard, a call I couldn't ignore, a turning point that led me from the darkness of confusion into the light of Islam. When I first realized that Islam might be the truth, I'll be honest with you, it scared me. It shook me because truth demands change, and change is uncomfortable. I had spent my whole life living one way. My habits, my friends, my identity, my comfort zone, they were all built around the lifestyle that Islam was now challenging. And I had to ask myself, am I really ready to let go? Am I really ready to surrender? You see, the human heart doesn't resist truth because it isn't clear. It resists truth because it's costly. Deep down, I knew Islam made sense. I knew the Quran wasn't the voice of a man. I knew the answers I had been searching for were right there in front of me. But admitting that meant I had to act. I had to commit. I had to change. And that's where the struggle came in. I fought with myself. I argued in my head. I told myself, maybe later, maybe when I'm older, maybe when life slows down. Right now, I just want to enjoy. But every time I tried to run, the truth followed me. Every time I tried to bury it in under distractions, the questions came back stronger. Every time I tried to pretend I wasn't convinced, my heart whispered, you already know. There were nights I couldn't sleep, days I couldn't focus, because when you know the truth, pretending you don't is the heaviest burden you'll ever carry. And let me tell you something. Faith isn't just an intellectual decision. It's a battle with your ego, a battle with your desires, a battle with your fears. Because accepting Islam meant I had to let go of control. It meant I had to surrender to God fully, not halfway, and that terrified me. I worried about what people would think. What would my friends say? What would my family say? Would I lose relationships? Would I be judged? Would I be misunderstood? These fears wrapped around me like chains, pulling me back every time I thought about moving forward. But here's what I learned. The struggle before acceptance is part of the journey. That resistance, that hesitation, it's not weakness, it's proof that faith is real. Because if truth was easy, everyone would embrace it instantly. But truth requires sacrifice, and sacrifice takes courage. Slowly, I started to realize something powerful. The more I resisted, the more restless I became. But the more I leaned into Islam, even just in small steps, the more peace I felt. When I prayed for the first time, it felt like my heart exhaled after years of suffocating. When I said Bismillah before eating, it felt like I was inviting blessing into my life. Every act of surrender, no matter how small, felt like freedom. That's when it clicked. Submission to God doesn't trap you. It liberates you. The chains weren't in Islam. The chains were in my ego, my fears, my desires, and Islam was offering me the key to break them. The struggle didn't disappear overnight. I still fought with doubts, with temptations, with pressure from the outside. But the more I trusted God, the lighter the struggle became. Until one day I finally realized the fight was over. The truth had won. And I accepted Islam. Looking back now, I understand why the resistance was there. Because when you finally say yes to God after fighting so hard, the victory tastes sweeter. The peace feels deeper. The commitment becomes stronger. That's why I say the struggle before acceptance wasn't a barrier. It was a bridge. A bridge that carried me from who I used to be to who I was always meant to be. When I finally accepted Islam, I thought it would just be about belief. I thought it would just be about saying, I believe in one God and Muhammad is his messenger. And yes, that declaration, the Shahada, is the doorway. But what I discovered once I stepped through that door changed everything. Islam isn't just a belief, it's a way of life. See, in the world I came from, religion was something you picked up once a week, maybe on a Sunday, maybe on special occasions. It was something separate from life, like a side dish on your plate. But Islam doesn't sit on the side. It fills the whole plate. It's not just something you do, it's something you live. The first thing I noticed was discipline. Islam gave structure to my days in a way nothing else ever had. 5 prayers, 5 moments where life pauses and I reconnect with the Creator. Morning, noon, afternoon, evening, night. Every prayer became a reminder that I wasn't alone, that I wasn't aimlessly drifting. My day now had purpose. My time had meaning. Then came clarity. Islam didn't leave me guessing about right and wrong. It didn't tell me just follow your heart, because the heart can be deceived. It gave me guidance, clear, practical, powerful. Guidance on how to treat people, how to handle money, how to eat, how to speak, even how to think. It wasn't restriction, it was direction. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel lost. And let's talk about peace. Real peace. Not the kind you get for a moment when you buy something new or when people clap for you. I mean the kind of peace that stays with you, even in hard times. Islam taught me that my worth wasn't in how much I own, or how many people like me, or how perfect my life looked on the outside. My worth was in how close I was to God. And that realization lifted a weight I didn't even know I was carrying. But the most beautiful thing about Islam, it connected me to God in a personal, intimate way. Not through a middleman, not through rituals I didn't understand, not through someone else's forgiveness, directly. Me and him. When I raise my hands in prayer, I'm speaking directly to the one who created the heavens and the earth. When I make dua, I'm not talking to the air, I'm talking to the King of Kings, and he listens. That alone is life-changing. And here's what shocked me the most. Islam wasn't just about worship, it was about everything. How to honor your parents, how to raise your children, how to be kind to strangers, how to stand for justice, how to forgive, how to live with balance. Islam covered it all. It wasn't just about my relationship with God, it was about my relationship with the world. That's when I realized why Islam means submission. Because when you submit, you're not giving up freedom. You're gaining it. You're no longer a slave to money or desires or people's opinions. You're free because you're living for the one who created you. And that freedom transformed me. I stopped chasing things that didn't matter. I stopped drowning in distractions. I started living with focus, with peace, with purpose. For the first time in my life, I wasn't just existing. I was truly living. So when people ask me, why Islam? I tell them this, because Islam didn't just change my beliefs. It changed my life. It didn't just give me faith. It gave me a foundation. It didn't just give me rules. It gave me a roadmap. Islam isn't a part of life. Islam is life. And that's the greatest gift I've ever received. When I look back at my journey, the emptiness, the questions, the struggle, the resistance, there's one word that defines what Islam finally gave me: peace. And I don't mean the kind of peace that comes and goes with circumstances. I don't mean the temporary calm you feel after achieving a goal or after a good day or when things are going your way. No, I mean a deeper peace, a peace that stays with you even in storms, a peace that doesn't depend on what's happening around you, but on what's happening inside you. Before Islam, I was restless. I was chasing, running, searching, but never finding. I would lie down at night with 1,000 thoughts racing through my mind, wondering why nothing ever felt enough. But after Islam, I finally understood the heart will never rest until it rests with God. That's what the Qur'an says. Indeed, in the remembrance of Allah, the hearts find peace. And I live that truth. When I submitted to God, when I said, there is no God but Allah and Muhammad is his messenger, it was like my soul finally came home. All the pieces that had felt scattered, broken, disconnected, they came together. And for the first time, I wasn't just breathing, I was alive.
The transformation wasn't just internal. It showed in how I lived. I stopped being driven by fear of people and started being driven by love of God. I stopped needing validation from the world because I realized my worth was already written by the one who created me. I stopped feeling lost because I finally had a direction.
And here's the beauty. Peace doesn't mean life suddenly becomes easy. No, struggles still come. Challenges still show up. But the difference is now I have an anchor. When the storm hits, I don't get blown away. I hold on to God, and he gives me strength. He gives me patience. He gives me hope. That's the transformation Islam gave me. It turned pain into purpose. It turned confusion into clarity. It turned emptiness into fulfillment. It turned a restless heart into a heart at peace. And the peace isn't just in the big things, it's in the small things too. Saying Bismillah before eating, saying Alhamdulillah after waking up, bowing my head in prayer 5 times a day, knowing I'm never alone, feeling the weight of my sins lifted when I repent, and the hope of God's mercy filling me again. Every moment of Islam breathes peace into my life. People sometimes ask me, wasn't it hard to change everything? Wasn't it difficult to leave behind your old ways? And my answer is simple. Yes, it was hard, but peace is worth it because nothing I left behind compares to what I gained. Nothing in this world can compete with the serenity of knowing who you are, why you're here, and who you belong to. That's why I say becoming Muslim wasn't just a decision. It was a transformation. It wasn't just about changing my religion. It was about changing my life. And every step I took toward God, he met me with mercy, with guidance, with peace beyond what I ever thought possible. So when people ask me today, why did you become a Muslim? My answer is simple. Because I wanted peace, and I found it. Because I wanted truth, and I found it. Because I wanted God, and I found it. And that is the greatest transformation any human being can ever experience.